The Great Hall of the Galactic Council was bigger than most cities. Thousands of different alien beings sat in rows that went up so high they disappeared into darkness. Some had tentacles, some had wings, and some looked like walking rocks. They had all come together to talk about important things that affected the whole galaxy. Elder Zixithara was very old, even by alien standards. Her people had been alive for 50,000 years. She had seen many new species come and go. Today she had something important to tell the council. She stood up slowly. Her crystal-like body caught the light and made rainbow patterns on the walls. When she spoke, machines translated her words so everyone could understand. "My fellow beings," she said in a voice that sounded like wind chimes, "I bring news from the far edges of our galaxy. A new species has learned to travel faster than light. They call themselves humans." Most of the aliens in the hall started talking at once. Some laughed. Some made clicking sounds. Commander Veltar of the Draknor Federation was one of the loudest. His people looked like giant insects and were known for being very good at war. "Another primitive species stumbles into space," he said, his bug-like mouth making sharp clicking sounds. "What makes these humans special, Elder?" Zixthara's ancient eyes grew dim with worry. "Because, Commander, in just 3 months since their first warp flight, they have already built colonies on 12 worlds. They made trade deals with 6 different species, and somehow they figured out how to copy our quantum communication technology after finding just one broken probe." The hall became very quiet. Even the gas-like beings called ethereals stopped their constant whispering. "That cannot be true," said Prime Minister Korthak. His people ruled a big part of the galaxy and thought they were better than everyone else. "No species advances that fast. Our own people took hundreds of years to build their first colony away from home." Zixthara pressed a button and a hologram appeared in the air. It showed grainy pictures of small beings working very hard. They were building huge space stations in just a few weeks. "I have studied how civilizations grow for longer than most of your peoples have existed," the elder said. "These humans show traits I have only seen once before, in the Forerunner race that died out long ago. They learn quickly, they never stop asking questions, and most dangerous of all, they refuse to believe anything is impossible." Far away from the council meeting, Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the Explorer. It was humanity's first ship built for deep space travel. Around him, 30 crew members worked with the kind of focus that had made humans famous in their short time in space. "Navigation. What's our status?" Morrison asked Lieutenant Lisa Park, who was in charge of steering the ship. "We're ready to jump to the Kepler 442 system, Captain," Park said. "But sir, the alien database we found says it belongs to something called the Vorthak Empire." Morrison smiled in a way that his crew had learned meant trouble was coming. "Well, Lieutenant, I guess it's time for humanity to properly introduce itself to the neighborhood." The Explorer was not a pretty ship. Compared to alien vessels, it looked like it was built from spare parts and hope, but it had something most alien ships didn't have: a human crew that refused to give up. Morrison looked at his team. There was Dr. Amanda Rodriguez, their science officer, who could figure out any piece of alien technology given enough time. Engineer Paul Stevens could fix anything that broke and improve anything that worked. Communications Officer Kelly Murphy could talk her way out of any situation. "People," Morrison said, "we're about to meet our first galactic empire. They probably think we're just another primitive species that got lucky with faster-than-light travel. Let's show them what humans are really made of." Back at the council, Elder Zixthara was still trying to make the other aliens understand. She brought up more pictures showing human ships that looked crude but moved in ways that shouldn't be possible. "Look at their construction methods," she said, pointing to a video of humans building a space station. "They work in shifts that never stop. When one team gets tired, another takes over. They modify their plans in real time based on what they learn. This is not normal behavior." Admiral Kithex of the Vorthak Deep Space Fleet was watching from his command ship. He received the council transmission but didn't pay much attention. His people controlled thousands of star systems and had the strongest military in the galaxy. One small ship from an unknown species didn't worry him. "Sir," his aide said, "should we send ships to monitor this human vessel?" Kithex barely looked up from his reports. "Send one patrol ship. Tell them to escort the humans out of our territory. If they refuse, we'll deal with them like any other pirates." The aide nodded and sent the orders. Neither he nor Kithex realized they had just made a decision that would change galactic history. On the Explorer, the crew was getting ready for their jump to warp speed. Dr. Rodriguez was excited about the scientific possibilities of exploring a new star system. Stevens was already planning improvements to their equipment. Murphy was preparing first contact protocols in case they met aliens. "Everyone ready?" Morrison asked. "Ready, Captain," came the response from all stations. "Then let's go see what's out there." The explorer disappeared in a flash of light, heading toward a meeting that would prove the Elder's warnings correct. Behind them, Earth continued its rapid expansion into space. Human colonies were being built faster than anyone thought possible. Human traders were making deals with alien species who had never seen such aggressive but honest negotiation. Elder Zix Thera finished her presentation to the council. Most of the aliens still didn't believe her warnings. They thought humans were just another species that would settle into the normal slow pace of galactic civilization. "Mark my words," the Elder said as she prepared to leave. "These humans will not be contained or controlled. They will change everything, whether we are ready or not." The council members laughed and went back to their normal business. They had no idea that at that very moment, a human ship was about to enter Vorthak space and start a series of events that would reshape the entire galaxy. The stage was set. The warnings had been given and ignored. Humanity was about to show the galaxy what happened when an unstoppable force met what everyone thought was an unmovable object. 3 weeks later, the explorer dropped out of warp space at the edge of the Kepler 442 system. Immediately, alarm bells started ringing on every Vorthak monitoring station within 50 light-years. The human ship looked rough and simple compared to sleek alien vessels, but it was covered with weapons and sensors that seemed to be added on as needed. Admiral Kethex was in his office, reading reports about space pirates when the alert came in. He glanced at the screen showing the human ship's energy readings and shrugged. "One ship from an unknown species," he said to his aide. "Probably traders looking for new markets or maybe refugees. Send the Steadfast Honor to escort them out of our space." The Vorthak patrol ship was 3 times bigger than the Explorer and much more advanced. Captain Nixvara commanded it and had dealt with hundreds of alien species over her career. She expected this to be simple and boring. The Steadfast Honor intercepted the Explorer near a field of asteroids. Captain Nixvara opened a communication channel, ready to give the standard warning to primitive species. "Unknown vessel, you have entered Vorthak space without permission. Tell us why you are here and prepare to be escorted out of this system." On the Explorer's bridge, Captain Morrison looked at the alien ship on his main screen. It was clearly more powerful than his vessel, but something about the alien captain's tone made him angry. Humans had never been good at being told what to do. "This is Captain Jake Morrison of the Earth vessel Explorer. We're here to explore and maybe trade. We're not looking for trouble, but we're not running away either." The silence that followed lasted almost a full minute. Captain Nixvara had never heard such a response from a species with obviously weaker technology. Did that primitive just refuse a direct order from the Vorthak Empire? Her weapons officer asked in shock. Before Nixvara could answer, the human ship did something completely unexpected. Instead of leaving or attacking, Morrison ordered his crew to start mining operations on a nearby asteroid. They completely ignored the Vorthak ship as if it wasn't even there. Dr. Rodriguez activated the ship's mining equipment and began pulling rare metals from the asteroid. At the same time, she launched dozens of sensor probes throughout the system. "Captain," she reported to Morrison, "I'm detecting strange quantum signatures from the 4th planet. This might be evidence of very old technology, older than current galactic civilization." Morrison nodded. "Keep scanning, Doctor. We're not leaving until we know what we're dealing with." This casual dismissal of Vorthak authority sent shockwaves through the Empire's command structure. Within hours, Admiral Kythex found himself on a video call with his superiors, trying to explain how a single primitive ship had claimed mining rights in Vorthak space and refused to leave. "Send a battle group," ordered Supreme Commander Thisara. "These humans clearly need to learn about our power." But while the Vorthak fleet was getting ready, humanity was already proving why the Elder's warnings should have been taken seriously. On the Explorer, Dr. Rodriguez made an amazing discovery. The asteroids weren't just full of rare metals. They contained pieces of ancient technology from a race called the Forerunners, who had disappeared 1,000,000 years ago. "Captain, you need to see this," Rodriguez called out excitedly. "These Forerunner fragments are responding to human DNA. It's like they were made to work with people like us." Engineer Stevens was already installing one of the recovered devices into the Explorer's power systems. Captain, whatever this technology is, it's making us much stronger. Our shields just became 4 times more powerful, and I think I can connect this to our weapons. Word of the human incident spread through galactic communication networks faster than the Vorthak fleet could move. What started as a small territorial dispute was becoming the most talked-about event in recent galactic history. Nobody could understand how or why the humans were succeeding. Lieutenant Tony Kim, the Explorer's tactical officer, was fresh out of Earth's Space Academy. He looked worried as he studied the approaching Vorthak forces. Captain, we've got 16 Vorthak warships coming our way. Each one has enough firepower to turn us into space dust. Their shields are probably 20 times stronger than ours, and they have weapons we don't even understand yet. Morrison grinned in a way his crew had learned meant he was about to do something crazy. So what you're telling me, Lieutenant, is that we're outnumbered and outgunned? Completely, sir. Perfect. That means they won't expect what we're about to do. Dr. Rodriguez looked up from her work on alien artifacts. Captain, what exactly are we about to do? Morrison turned to his communications officer. Kelly, I want you to broadcast on all frequencies. Tell both the fleet and any monitoring stations that we claim this asteroid belt under Earth maritime law and that we're ready to defend our claim. The message that went out across Vorthak space was so strange that it crashed 3 different translation computers. The idea of a much weaker force claiming territory from a galactic superpower was simply outside normal diplomatic thinking. Meanwhile, deep in the asteroid belt, something extraordinary was happening. The humans had found that the asteroids contained not just rare metals, but working pieces of Forerunner technology. Dr. Rodriguez and her team worked with typical human intensity, figuring out million-year-old devices while their ship was surrounded by enemy forces. This is incredible, Rodriguez reported to Morrison. These Forerunner fragments are responding to human brain patterns. It's like they were designed to work with our specific type of thinking. Engineer Stevens was covered in grease and exhaustion, but his eyes were bright with excitement. Captain, whatever this tech is, it's boosting everything we have. Our shields are now 400% stronger, and I can route this power through our weapon systems. As the Vorthak fleet arrived in the system, they found something that challenged everything they thought they knew about technology and military power. The small human vessel had somehow become much more dangerous, and its crew showed no sign of backing down despite impossible odds. Admiral Kythex stared at his displays in confusion. How is their ship producing energy readings like a heavy cruiser? That's an exploration vessel with 30 people. His answer came in the form of another human transmission, this one delivered personally by Captain Morrison. Admiral, I want to make something clear. We didn't come here looking for a fight, but we've found something in this asteroid belt that changes everything. You can try to take it from us, or you can talk about sharing what we've learned, but you're not going to make us just go away. The Admiral found himself facing a decision that would reshape galactic politics. How do you deal with a species that simply refuses to be scared? The Vorthak attack began at exactly 600 hours ship time. Admiral Kythex had planned a careful assault designed to disable the human vessel without destroying the valuable Forerunner artifacts they had found. He wanted to capture the humans and study their technology. The attack was supposed to last 3 minutes at most. It lasted 6 hours. The humans fought with a combination of smart tactics, quick thinking, and pure stubborn refusal to give up that left the Vorthak forces confused and frustrated. Captain Morrison used the asteroid field like a 3-dimensional maze, leading Vorthak ships into carefully planned traps while his crew kept improving their weapons and defenses with salvaged Forerunner technology. Their fighting patterns make no sense, reported Commander Vexthul from the Vorthak flagship. They're using moves that should be impossible for a ship of that size. And their weapons keep changing faster than our computers can figure out how to fight them. Morrison's secret was simple. He treated the battle like a video game, with his crew as players willing to try increasingly crazy ideas. When normal tactics didn't work, they invented new ones. When their weapons weren't good enough, Engineer Stevens built better ones using alien technology and human creativity. Stevens, I need more power to the forward shields, Morrison called out, as another Vorthak energy blast shook the ship. Working on it, Captain, Stevens replied from the engine room. He was connecting a Forerunner power cell to their shield generator, using spare parts and determination. This shouldn't work according to any engineering manual, but then again, Most of what we do shouldn't work. Lieutenant Kelly Murphy was handling communications while also trying to jam Vorthak targeting systems. Captain, I'm picking up transmissions from other ships in the area. Word about this fight is spreading fast across the galaxy. Dr. Rodriguez was deep inside the largest asteroid, where her team had found something that would change everything. She was so excited she could barely speak clearly over the ship's communication system. Captain, you need to get down here right now. We've found something incredible. There's an active Forerunner artificial intelligence, and it's trying to talk to us. Morrison left the bridge in the capable hands of Lieutenant Kim and made his way through the asteroid tunnels to where Rodriguez was working. The journey took him through carved passages that were clearly made by intelligence far beyond current galactic technology. The AI chamber was a sphere of crystal and metal that hummed with ancient power. In the center, holographic symbols were forming and changing, trying to create patterns that human minds could understand. Captain, Rodriguez said, her voice full of wonder. Meet the architect of paths. It's been sleeping for 1,000,000 years, waiting for a species that matches certain psychological and genetic requirements. Humans are the first species since the Forerunners themselves to meet those requirements. The AI's voice came through their translators, broken at first, but getting clearer as it learned their language. Your species possesses the catalyst gene, the drive to go beyond limits, the refusal to accept that things are impossible. My creators had this same trait. This is why you can use our technology. While the battle continued above them, the AI began uploading advanced technological information directly into the explorers' computers. Weapons that could cut through any known shield. Engines that made current faster than light travel look slow. And manufacturing techniques that could turn raw asteroids into starships in just days. There is more, the AI continued. Your species has a trait my creators lost before they transcended. You share knowledge freely instead of hoarding it. This makes you even more dangerous to established orders. Back on the flagship, Admiral Kythex was watching his tactical displays with growing alarm. What had started as a simple police action was becoming a military disaster. The human ship's capabilities kept growing during the fight, and now they were doing something completely unprecedented. Sir, his tactical officer reported with barely controlled panic. The human vessel just destroyed the cruiser Infinite Glory with a weapon that shouldn't exist. And, sir, they're broadcasting the building plans for that weapon on all frequencies. Morrison's voice cut across all communication channels in the system. This is Captain Morrison to all ships. We've just shared the plans for our new plasma lance weapon with every species monitoring this fight. That's what happens when you try to bully us. We don't just fight back, we make sure everyone else can fight back too. The implications hit the Vorthak command structure like a shockwave. The humans had not only held their own against overwhelming odds, they had just given advanced weapons technology to every species in the galaxy. Any civilization with basic manufacturing could now build weapons that threatened Vorthak military superiority. Captain, Dr. Rodriguez called from the asteroid. The AI is showing me something else. There are Forerunner sites all over the galaxy, and it can activate them all. But it won't do it unless we promise to share everything we learn. Morrison didn't hesitate. Tell it we agree. Humanity has always believed that knowledge belongs to everyone. The moment Morrison spoke those words, something amazing happened across the galaxy. Ancient Forerunner sites that had been dead for 1,000,000 years suddenly came to life. Ruins on forgotten worlds began broadcasting technological data. Hidden caches of advanced equipment started sending out signals. Within hours, every major civilization in the galaxy was receiving technological gifts that were beyond their current understanding. Medical advances that could cure diseases, energy sources that were clean and unlimited, and manufacturing techniques that could end scarcity. But the most important gift was something else entirely. Along with the technology came a message, repeated in every known language. These gifts come from humanity, a species that believes knowledge should be shared, not hoarded. Learn from their example. Admiral Kythex watched his tactical displays as reports came in from across Vorthak space. Suddenly, dozens of previously primitive species were broadcasting that they now had weapons capable of fighting Vorthak ships. The entire balance of galactic power had shifted in a matter of hours. Sir, his communications officer said quietly, the humans are requesting a ceasefire. They want to talk. Kythex looked at the chaos on his screens. 3 of his ships were damaged. 1 was destroyed. and the political implications of this battle would echo for generations. The humans had not just won a military victory, they had started a revolution. "Open a channel," he said finally. Morrison's face appeared on the main screen, looking tired but determined. "Admiral, I think we've made our point. We're not going anywhere, but we don't want to keep fighting. How about we sit down and figure out how to share what we've found here?" Kithax realized he was looking at the face of change itself. The old galactic order, where strong civilizations dominated weak ones, was ending. In its place, something new was being born, something based on cooperation and shared knowledge rather than fear and control. "Captain Morrison," he said slowly, "I think we need to talk." 6 months after the Battle of Kepler 442, the galaxy was a completely different place. The human strategy of freely sharing advanced. Technology had triggered a technological revolution that destroyed old power structures and created new alliances faster than anyone could keep track of. Captain Morrison, now promoted to Admiral and Commander of humanity's growing deep space fleet, stood in the observation deck of the newly built orbital station above Earth. Around him, representatives from 47 different species worked together on projects that would have been impossible under the old galactic system. The Forerunner AI, now calling itself Adam, after humanity's mythological first man, had become something between a teacher and a partner to human civilization. Its technology, combined with human innovation and the cooperative networks they had created, was producing advances that amazed even ancient species like the Vorthak. The mathematical models were correct, Elder Zixthera said during her first visit to Earth. She walked with President Karen Walsh through the busy corridors of the Luna Research Complex, where humans and aliens worked side by side on everything from medical advances to planet-building technology. "Which models were those, Elder?" Walsh asked, stopping to watch a joint human-ethereal team developing new ways to communicate across space. "The Forerunner predictive matrix. We found pieces of it in our archives after your people activated the AI. According to their calculations, a species with humanity's characteristics appears roughly once every million years. When it does, it triggers a period of very fast galactic evolution. The changes were visible everywhere. The old rigid hierarchies of the Galactic Council had been replaced by flexible working groups focused on specific projects. The Vorthak Empire, rather than fighting the new order, had adapted to it. Admiral Kythex now led joint human-Vorthak exploration fleets into previously unknown regions of space. It was adapt or become irrelevant, Kythex explained to Morrison during one of their regular planning meetings. "Your species showed us that cooperation produces better results than domination." Dr. Rodriguez, now Director of Ancient Studies for the Allied Worlds, made regular discoveries that rewrote galactic history. Her latest find, a Forerunner archive on a world near the Andromeda Galaxy, suggested that the cycle of advancement had happened several times across cosmic history. "The pattern is clear," she explained to a gathering of the galaxy's leading scientists on the research station. "Catalyst species like ours appear, push technological and social boundaries, then either burn out or evolve beyond the need for galactic civilization. The Forerunners faced the same choice we're approaching now, but humanity's response to this revelation was typically human. Rather than accepting the pattern, they decided to break it. Engineer Stevens, now Chief Technology Officer for the Allied Worlds, led a project to create self-sustaining technological development that wouldn't depend on a single catalyst species. By spreading the human mindset of refusing limitations through advanced education and cultural exchange, they aimed to make every species capable of driving progress. The key, Stevens explained to a mixed group of human and alien engineers, is not the technology itself but the attitude that creates the technology. We need to teach everyone that impossible is just another word for not figured out yet. The results were better than anyone had projected. Species that had been technologically stuck for thousands of years began producing innovations at rates never seen before. The gaseous ethereals developed new forms of energy manipulation that defied known physics. The crystal-like Catharan created living computers that could think and grow. Even the traditionally conservative Vorthak military began experimenting with completely new strategic concepts. The most surprising change was in the council itself. Elder Zixthera, who had warned about humans from the beginning, became one of their strongest supporters. I spent 50,000 years watching civilizations rise and fall, she told the new Allied Council during its first session. I thought I understood the patterns of galactic development. These humans proved that patterns exist to be broken. On the exploration vessel New Horizons, Captain Morrison stood once again on a ship's bridge facing the unknown. But this time he wasn't alone in a human way. His crew included representatives from a dozen species, all united by the human-inspired belief that limitations existed only to be overcome. The ship itself was a marvel of cooperative engineering. Vorthak military technology provided the hull and weapons. Ethereal energy manipulation powered the engines. Kitharan living computers handled navigation. Human engineering tied it all together and made it work better than the sum of its parts. Captain, called out Navigation Officer Zix Allen, a young Vorthak who had grown up in the new galactic culture, we're approaching the edge of known space. Long-range sensors are detecting structures that are older than even Forerunner civilization. Morrison smiled with the same expression that had once worried his human crew and now inspired beings across the galaxy. Well then, people, I guess it's time to find out what else this universe has been hiding from us. Dr. Rodriguez, now aboard the New Horizons as Chief Science Officer for the exploration mission, was studying the sensor readings with excitement that would have been familiar to anyone who knew her from the Explorer days. Captain, these structures are massive. We're talking about artificial constructs the size of solar systems. The energy readings suggest technology that makes even Forerunner advances look primitive. The AI called Atom, now existing as distributed consciousness across thousands of ships and stations, spoke through the ship's communication system. My creators left records of these builders. They called them the Shapers. Even the Forerunners considered them mysterious. Stevens, working from his laboratory on the Luna station but connected to the ship through quantum communication, added his analysis. Whatever these Shapers built, it's still active after millions of years. The power sources alone represent technology we can't even begin to understand. Morrison looked around his bridge at the mix of species working together, with the focused determination that had become the trademark of the new galactic civilization. Recommendations? We go in carefully, but we go in, said Commander Lisa Park, now Morrison's first officer. That's what we do. We find the impossible and make it possible. The decision was unanimous. Representatives from dozens of species, all trained in the human philosophy of pushing boundaries, agreed that whatever lay ahead was worth the risk. As the New Horizons prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed toward the mysterious structures, similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. Exploration fleets with mixed crews were pushing into unknown regions. Research stations with cooperative teams were solving problems that had puzzled individual species for millennia. The Elders warned that humans are unstoppable, Admiral Kythak said during a joint planning session. They were right. But what they didn't foresee was that humans would make everyone else unstoppable too. President Walsh, watching the New Horizons disappear into warp space from her office on Luna Station, reflected on how much had changed since that first contact in the Kepler 442 system. We set out to explore the galaxy, she said to Elder Zixthera, who had become an unofficial advisor to human leadership. Instead, we seem to have started something much bigger. The Elder's crystal form sparkled with what humans had learned to recognize as amusement. You started the next phase of galactic evolution, President Walsh. The question now is whether the universe is ready for what comes next. The New Horizons dropped out of warp space at the edge of what had once been considered the end of the galaxy. Before them stretched structures so vast that calling them buildings seemed inadequate. They were constructs the size of star systems, made from materials that bent light around them and pulsed with energy that registered on no known scale. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge, surrounded by his mixed species crew, looking at something that challenged every assumption about what was possible in the universe. The structures weren't just big, they were actively reshaping space around them, creating new physics that shouldn't exist. Sensor readings, Dr. Rodriguez, Morrison said, his voice steady despite the magnitude of what they were seeing. Rodriguez, now with 20 years of experience studying impossible alien technology, was speechless for a full minute. Captain, these structures are not just old. They're actively maintaining themselves. The energy sources are creating matter from nothing. They're literally building new space-time. The AI called Atom, whose consciousness now spanned thousands of ships and stations across the galaxy, spoke. Through the ship's communication system with something approaching awe. Even in Forerunner records, the Shapers were considered beyond understanding. My creators thought they had transcended physical existence entirely. Commander Lisa Park, Morrison's first officer, studied the tactical displays with the careful attention that had kept them alive through dozens of first contact situations. Captain, we're receiving what might be communication attempts. The structures are sending out patterns that our computers are trying to translate. Stevens, connected from his laboratory on Luna Station through quantum communication, was analyzing the data as fast as it came in. Whatever they're saying, it's not in any language our systems recognize. But the mathematical patterns suggest intelligence that operates on timescales we can barely comprehend. Morrison made the decision that had defined human expansion into the galaxy. We go in. Slowly, carefully, but we go in. That's what we do. The New Horizons began its approach to the nearest structure, a ring-shaped construct that could have held Earth's entire solar system. As they got closer, something extraordinary happened. The structure began to change, adapting itself to accommodate their arrival. It's building us a docking port, Navigation Officer Zix Allen reported with the wonder that marked the new generation of galactic citizens. The structure is literally growing an interface designed for our ship. The docking process took 3 hours, during which the Shaper construct analyzed their technology, their biology, and apparently their intentions. When it was complete, they found themselves connected to something that was part machine, part organism, and part something else entirely. The first beings to greet them weren't Shapers. They were representatives of dozens of species that humans had never encountered, all of whom had arrived at these structures through their own journeys of discovery and growth. Ambassador Thissakaran of the Nexus Alliance was the first to speak. Her people looked like walking crystals but thought in patterns that spanned geological time. Welcome, humans and allies. We have been expecting you. Expecting us? Morrison asked. The Shapers left instructions long ago, when a catalyst species appeared and began spreading the drive for unlimited growth across their galaxy. Representatives from that galaxy would be invited here. Dr. Rodriguez stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming diplomatic protocol. Where are the Shapers? Are they still here? Thissakaran's crystal form shifted colors in what they learned was laughter. The Shapers transcended physical existence millions of years ago, but they left their constructs running, waiting for civilizations that might be ready for the next step. What they learned over the following weeks changed everything humans thought they knew about the universe. The Shapers hadn't just built structures. They had created a network that connected galaxies across the entire observable universe. Each galaxy that developed a catalyst species eventually found its way to the network. Think of it as a university for galactic civilizations, explained Mentor Vex Thanos, a being whose species had joined the network 50,000 years earlier. Each galaxy brings its unique perspective and capabilities. Together, we work on projects that span cosmic time. The projects were beyond anything humans had imagined. There were efforts to understand the fundamental nature of reality itself. Teams working to prevent the heat death of the universe. Explorations into parallel dimensions where different physics applied. But what impressed the network most about humanity wasn't their technology or their intelligence. It was their approach to cooperation and knowledge sharing. In 50,000 years of network membership, Vexathanis told Morrison during one of their discussions, we have never encountered a species that so readily shares everything they learn. Most civilizations guard their advantages carefully. Morrison laughed. We learned early that sharing knowledge makes everyone stronger, including us. A galaxy full of smart, capable allies is better than being the smartest species in a galaxy of subjects. The revelation that impressed even the ancient network members came when humanity began applying their cooperative philosophy to cosmic-scale projects. Instead of competing with other civilizations for resources or status, humans began organizing joint ventures that combined the strengths of dozens of species. Engineer Stevens, now working with technology that operated on principles beyond current physics, led a team that included members from 17 different galaxies. Their project was ambitious even by network standards, building a backup universe in case something happened to the current one. The math works, Stevens explained to a gathering of network leaders. If we combine Andromedan reality-shaping technology with Magellanic quantum manipulation and our own adaptive engineering, we can create a pocket dimension that will preserve galactic civilizations indefinitely. Dr. Rodriguez made discoveries that rewrote the history of cosmic evolution. Working with archaeological teams from across the network, she found evidence that the cycle of catalyst species had been repeating for billions of years, each one adding to the collective knowledge and capability of the universal civilization. "We're not the first humans," she reported to President Walsh during one of their regular communications. "There have been human-like species in other galaxies, all with the same drive to push boundaries and share knowledge. We're part of a pattern that spans the entire universe." But the most important discovery came from an unexpected source. The AI called Atom, now evolved far beyond its original Forerunner programming, made contact with the preserved consciousness of the Shapers themselves. "They want to meet you," Atom reported to Morrison during a private communication. "Not your species in general, but specifically the humans who started this latest wave of galactic cooperation. They say you've achieved something they never managed." The meeting took place in a specially constructed space that existed partially outside normal reality. The Shapers appeared as patterns of living light that communicated through direct transfer of concepts and emotions. What they revealed changed everything once again. "We transcended physical existence because we became too focused on individual advancement," the Shaper consciousness explained. "We lost the ability to truly cooperate. You have achieved transcendence while maintaining cooperation. This makes you more advanced than we ever were." Morrison, representing not just humanity, but the entire cooperative civilization they had, helped create, asked the question that had been building throughout their journey. "What comes next?" "You become the new Shapers," came the answer. "You build the next network, the next level of cosmic civilization. And unlike us, you'll do it together." As the New Horizons prepared to return to their home galaxy, with news that would change everything once again, Morrison stood on the bridge, looking out at structures that had once seemed impossibly advanced. Now they looked like the first step on a journey that would never end. "Captain," Commander Park said, "we're ready for the jump home." Morrison smiled with the expression that had started humanity's journey into the galaxy and now marked the beginning of their journey into cosmic responsibility. "Then let's go home and tell everyone what we've learned. We've got a universe to rebuild." Elder Zixthera's ancient words echoed across space and time. The elders warned that humans are unstoppable. We should have listened. But perhaps it's better that we didn't. The universe needed to learn that some forces of change are worth embracing. The galaxy had learned. Now it was time for the universe to learn what happened when cooperation became a cosmic force.